Good morning. How's it going? 6:24 a.m. on Sunday, doing my Sunday morning routine. Woke up at 5 this morning, got to Starbucks by 5:30, drinking my venti blonde roast so that I can be nice and caffeinated and awake before church. I'm preaching today. Thank you for everyone that has been praying for me. I'm going to be teaching out of 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 through 10, which is an interesting Christmas text, but that's where I felt the Lord leading me. So we're going to do that. And instead of just applying like one verse to my points, I'm going to just kind of go through that chunk of text. So we'll see how that goes. And at the end there, I'm going to talk about just Romans 12, 1 through 2, which is a pretty common verse talking about being transformed by the renewing of our minds. But I think a lot of times we look at verses that are common and we don't really have any practical application for that. So I'm going to talk about what does it practically look like for us to apply the renewing of our minds. So yeah, this morning we're going to be talking about breakfast with Ravi Zacharias. I did not get breakfast this morning with Ravi Zacharias, but that would be awesome. But I think maybe it was RK that talked about doing breakfast with someone and just eating breakfast and listening to their content. So that's something I want to do. So this morning I'm drinking my coffee and watched a couple Ravi Zacharias videos on YouTube, and that guy's brilliant. I had the privilege of seeing Ravi in DC, I guess when I was living in Maryland, so probably about 10 years ago. But yeah, this morning I just wanted to kind of reiterate some of the stuff that I'm learning, because that's a good way for me to solidify that stuff in my brain, and I can also just share it with you as well. So my two big takeaways from the videos I watched this morning is he gives the framework for types of cultures. So the first one is a theonomous. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing any of these words right. Theonomous culture, meaning God is in control of the culture, of the government, and there's things that are self-evident to people. Morality is kind of written on people's hearts, so that would be the framework of a theonomous culture, that God's at the center of that. And then there's heteronymous, which would be there's someone at the top who's in control, who's giving moral law and telling people what to do. And then there's autonomous culture, where individuals can decide what is right. And he just said that when you're discussing with people, most people that are going to have questions for you don't want things to be theonomous or heteronymous. They don't like the fact that they disqualify God, so saying like, well, God doesn't have a say in this, so we're not a theonomous culture. We don't want people at the top. We don't want the government telling us what to do, so we're not going to be a heteronymous culture. Sorry if I'm butchering these words. And so we're an autonomous culture, so where individuals get the right to decide what is true and what is moral. And so he just brought up the great point that if they're coming to you and asking you what gives you the right to tell me what to do, that we can also just flip that on the other side as well, right? So it's not just A telling B what to do in an autonomous culture. It's also B telling A what to do. If they're coming and saying, no, your belief is incorrect and I don't want you to tell me what to do, then they're not, if they want to live in an autonomous culture, then they're not allowed to tell us that their way is right either. So he just said, giving out this framework of these three types of government, I guess you would say, that if people want to live in an autonomous culture, then they can't switch to heteronomous